Live on the Mic radio show on YouTube. Tune in every Saturday and Wednesday for hot news and opinions, you dig? Like and subscribe and follow us on Twitter at BR Live on the Mic and on Facebook and Instagram at Big Rich Live on the Mic. Join the conversation and catch that fire.
Big Rich. Yeah. Big Rich. Big Rich. Big. So where to begin? The bipolar goon in a padded room, consumed by the coming doom. The return of Christ at noon split the world in two. Dude pursued the cool until he ruled in 2077. His life's due. The tomb of the devil erected in my room. He resurrected and reunited with the fools, the Hutus in 94 and Ouagadougou in 2016. I see the clues. The Ku Klux Klan in the form of the neighborhood crew.
Big Rich here, Big Rich Live on the Mic radio show here on YouTube. We're here again, healthy and sane. Appreciate everything God has given us in His infinite wisdom to breathe life into us once again. So we're here. I hope everybody is safe and sound, doing what you need to do to make your life better, to make your family's life better, to make this world a better place. So I appreciate all the blessings the Lord gives all of us, whether we love Him or not, whether we appreciate Him or not. So I give thanks. I give thanks to you for, again, all the likes, to the new subscribers. Welcome. People who are on the fence about whether they want to subscribe to the radio channel, hey, you keep coming back, might as well go ahead on and subscribe. But welcome. We appreciate your presence here. What we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about 3 different subjects. What I just did was, because this is pretty much going to be a abbreviated show, it's kind of sort of abbreviated show, but what I wind up doing, instead of tackling just one subject and giving my opinion and going a whole hour, hour or 45 minutes on an hour, I decided to take a bunch of the questions, sort of log them in, exactly what subjects and what questions are asked. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take 3 subjects off the top and we're just going to let it rip. We're going to chop it up, see what comes out of it, digest it, go back and forth, and make it do what it do, like only we can here on the channel. So the first subject we're going to talk about is, or I can't even say the subject we're going to talk about. I've gotten a couple of inquiries via Twitter about this GQ interview that was given earlier this year, late last year, by Cameron Newton, aka Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers. He's African American quarterback for the Carolina Panthers in the NFL. Those who don't follow football, he's one of the faces of the NFL, a beast, a straight beast, not beast. Well, he went to the Super Bowl last year, or beginning of this year. It was actually last season, and they got blowed out. It wasn't his crowning moment, but he had made some, in some people's opinion, he had made some controversial statements talking about, I'm big, I'm black, nobody's ever seen anything like me, which that's true. Basically just trying to say, I understand that I'm looked at differently and sometimes treated differently. Well, certain people who don't want to hear the truth, because see, a lot of times the truth makes you uncomfortable. And when people tell me that, I'll be like, well, that is what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be or feel uncomfortable for change to be made. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, hey, look, I watch sports to get away from reality. Well, what you have to realize is sports is reality. You know, the same people, either men or women, you know, boys, girls, men, women, whatever. It's all relevant. It's all germane to reality. You can't just say, okay, well, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch the game for 3 or 4 hours, and then everything else around me needs to stop. That doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. So anyway, so you know, he pissed off a lot of people and stuff like that. You know, people on the other end. You know, I put myself on the other end. I felt that it was courageous. I feel people are courageous when they tell the truth, and it actually is the truth. When it's not the truth, then that's something totally different. You know, when you want to fabricate stuff or wash over or gloss over the truth with, I'm saying I'm in charge, so I said it, so that makes it right. Which a lot of people in power, you know, they think that way and they feel that way, and they put that out to the masses, you know. Well, we get the GQ. Now, I don't read GQ, so it had to be brought to me by some subscribers to our Twitter feed. Shameless plug. Twitter handle is V R live on the mic. Go there, subscribe, join the conversation, because we chopping it up all day long. As long as I'm awake, up and awake, I'm going back and forth. You know, that's the only way you learn things. That's the only way you connect with people. You know, even people who disagree with you. You know, if you are disagreeing with something but not being disagreeable, i.e., you want to call names, you want to talk down, you know, that type of stuff right there, you can have conversations and still at the end of it agree to disagree. But there's no derogatory discourse between the two people, or if you're in a group chat, between the whole group of people. So anyway, it was brought to me, and I read the article, and I was very bothered by it. And I'm not going to beat Cam up. You know, I don't know Cam personally. I follow his career from when he was with the Gators, and then went through that bull crap and basically got kicked off the team and went to junior college, ran roughshod over them, and then came back to Auburn and ran roughshod over everybody his last year for the in college. But he seemed like a young brother who got it, you know, who sort of understood his place in the pantheon of sports. And then bigger than just sports, he seemed like somebody who understood where he could make a difference, where he can crush stereotypes and basically stand up as a man. You follow what I'm saying? You feel me? So when I read the article, there was a few things that really bothered me. There was just one thing that really bothered me. Like, they was asking him, and I can't say they, it was a one-on-one interview. And the interviewer, asked him, did he feel that the criticism that he experienced last year, because he was dabbing, he was dancing, some lady wrote an open letter via the newspaper to him and the franchise because he had a baby out of wedlock, which, what the hell? Anyway, we'll talk about that in a few, because I have something to say about that also. But he was asked, was that criticism because of his race, because of the color of his skin? Well, I'll say what he said, and then we'll go back and forth. What he said was, no, he doesn't believe that. Everybody has their opinions, and he just felt that the nation was past race, and it didn't have anything to do with his race. Now, I know, like I just finished saying, I don't know Cam personally, but listening to him, reading his statements, listening to him in his interviews, he seems like a very intellectually astute person. So there is no way that he could actually believe those words that he said. You know, at first when I read them, I was like, this has got to be. Maybe the quotes were taken out of context or whatever. But as it, you know, the article's been out maybe a month, maybe less than that or something like that. And he hasn't come out and said, hey, I didn't say that. You know, I didn't mean it the way. So basically he said it. So the reason I say that I'm not going to beat him up too bad is because I believe that somebody within his circle, I don't know if it was in a team, I don't know if it was a family member, I don't know if it was somebody like was representing him, like maybe his agent, his management, whatever, must have gotten to him and was like, look, we understand what you're trying to say, and you know, racism sucks and all of that, understand, and we understand power to the people, that type of bullcrap, you know. But you pissing people off, you making people uncomfortable, and you losing money. We can get you endorsements. You're a handsome man with a $1 million smile, with a $1 million arm, you know, very charismatic, you know, intelligent. We can get you on the box of Wheaties. I don't even know if they have Wheaties anymore, but you know what I mean. They could get him millions and millions and millions of dollars extra in endorsements. So you can't be radical. That's what they call when you say something true about race. You're radical, you know, by a lot of people. So instead of doing that, just, you know, we know what the deal is, but you know, just try to get by the interview. Because well, you would think that, you know, because I have a lot of clients that are, you know, well known, and you would think that if you're doing an interview for a major magazine or a major news agency, your agent or somebody in your staff is there also to sort of coach you through. But then again, I don't know. He could have just did this and flew by the seat of his pants. Now, if that was the case, that's where I'm disappointed at. Because if that was the case, and you was told basically you need to back it down, I would have rather him said, well, I don't know. I don't know what's in people's minds and hearts and the way they do things. I have my opinions, but those are my opinions, and I choose not to share them. I would have rather him did that than to, well, the nation has gotten past that and it's not about race. Well, hold on, bro. Last year, that's pretty much what you were saying, because that was the truth. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I am not saying that everything or every ridicule, every critique was based on race. No, I'm not saying that. Nobody can say anything absolute. You don't know what's in the hearts and minds of people. Basically, what you have to do is you have to go by history. That's all you have to do. You have to go by history. And history has shown that when you have an African American, black or brown, whatever, and they act a certain way that is not conducive to the dominant society or what they're used to, then it's a problem with some people. Not everybody, but it's a problem. So some people will be like, and again, some of my white brothers and sisters on Twitter was like, well, Rich, how do you know? You know, you just finished saying you don't know what's in everybody's hearts and their minds. I said, well, okay. Let's compare. Okay, let's compare one superstar quarterback to another. You have Cameron Newton. Okay. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you have Brett Favre. Show me where's the stark difference between both of them. When Brett Favre was young, running up and down, jumping on in his lineman's arms, and being bombastic. Great, it's great. I'm not ridiculing him. It's great. You don't want somebody to dance. You don't want somebody to celebrate. You don't want somebody to beat their chest or be over the top. Stop them from scoring. That'll stop that at all. You see the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl, they stopped Cam from scoring. They stopped Cam from doing pretty much everything that he wanted or anything that he wanted to do. He wasn't dabbing in. So, what I say, I bring those up, as I did on Twitter, is because the same people that were pissed off about Cameron Newton said nothing about Brett Favre. And then now we can talk about the having the baby out of wedlock. This is what I want to know. Show me. I ask my viewing public. Show me where it says that you have to be married to have a baby. Now, we all know how I feel. 3 or 4 shows ago, we talked about fatherhood and the fact that a man needs to be in the home, to be around, his kids, that every child needs a man and a woman, a father and a mother to, in my opinion, to achieve greatness, full potential. Now, that doesn't mean that if you are raised with one parent or you raised by a double parent, like 2 men or 2 women, that you will not achieve greatness. That's not what I'm saying. But I just feel that if you're given what your dad can contribute to you and what your mom contributes to you, that's different. That's different. They mesh. I just think that at that time you will then reach your full potential. But that's my opinion. So what would make the parent, the female, to write this letter? Well, obviously, either her son or her daughter, and somebody put that down in the comments or email me. I don't know if it was a little girl or a little boy that was her son, but obviously her child was vibing with Cam. Cam is kind of hard to hate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he just that dude. You feel me? So, in that case, if your children are vibing towards this, then it is not up to that particular person to set the standard for your kids. You set the standards for your kids. I set the standards for my child. I expect everybody else to set the standards for their child. So we just go on and, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Anybody who knows me, everybody who knows me know that I'm not the type of person to throw the race card, just arbitrarily. And are there people who identify quote unquote racism that is not correct? But there are a whole lot who identify it because that's what it is. The truth is the truth. I cannot sit here and say that I can remember a time when I was subjected to overt, outright racism. But I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid enough to think that I've never been affected by racism, even though it was never bombastic, it was never in my face. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, I understand what racism and bigotry is. So I know it exists in this country. So I would have rather him said, well, again, I don't know. I really don't know what was in everybody's mind. I have my opinions, but I'm going to keep my opinions to myself. It's within his right. Period. Just because you're doing an interview does not mean that you got to answer every question to that person's satisfaction. I'm sorry. So I was just real disappointed because when much is given, much is required. Whether you like it or not, nobody, especially in my community, can make it, quote unquote, make it and then sit back and rest on your laurels and not do anything, and not address anything, and not reach back. When we talked about crabs in the barrel, reach back and snatch up. And I'm not saying that Cam is not doing any of that. Again, I have no personal knowledge, so I don't know. But I liken myself. I've had an awakening this year to realize that I haven't been doing enough. I have not been doing enough to reach back and to give what was given to me to people behind me, people who are more disadvantaged than I ever was. And I am no stretch of the imagination trying to say that me and Cam is in the same hemisphere. We ain't on the same planet. But the fact of the matter is, there is a responsibility. And I just felt real disappointed that he allowed himself to be manipulated to the fact that he would say something silly as that. And that's all I got to really say about that. Again, I support Cam. I love watching him and stuff like that. He does a lot. I mean, there was a video, and this just shows you the vitriol. There was a video that came out with Cam. I don't know where he was, but this was in the off season, and he was riding by and he saw a bunch of kids. It was like an elementary school. I want to say elementary or junior high school, probably more like a junior high school. So whoever he was riding the car with, or maybe he was riding by himself, he pulled over and he just got out the car and walked up, got with the teachers or whoever the adults was in there, asked, could he come in? They said yes. Kids going crazy. He climbs over the fence. They got a football. All he doing is taking selfies and he's throwing the ball. There was so many people on that Twitter, after that video was posted on that Twitter timeline, just basically saying how disgusting he was, and how could you follow somebody like that who's not sportsman? He doesn't show any class. His sportsmanship sucks. All this type of stuff. And I was like, I had to actually ring in. I was like, y'all need to really back up and wake up. You guys really need to check yourself. Look at the faces of those kids. I'm talking about whoever was taking the video. It looked like it was on like a cell phone or something like that, a smartphone. You look and it was panning and zooming, and white kids and black kids and Latin kids and boys and girls. Just look at their face. They all was just like, it was like the best thing since sliced bread. So look at the positive influence he had over those kids. Those kids can go back home that day and show their parents, hey, mom, dad, do you know that Cam Newton was throwing footballs at our school today? And they'd be like, yeah, right. And then you show them the selfie. People need to really get over themselves and look, like they say, you're standing too close to the trees to see the forest. Or, I'm sorry, just you standing too close to the forest to see the trees. There you go. My fault. People need to really get over themselves. So again, that has stuff to do with, it's just a different culture. It's a different culture. I'm like, hey, you don't know if he's going to marry this female, or if they ever get married, as long as he's there and doing what he needs to do as a father of that child. And I'm not talking about just giving money, but changing the diaper every now and again, picking up his kid and doing what needs to be done, and make sure he's either a son or a daughter. I don't know, what the gender is, is having access to him as a parent. So people need to really check themselves, and you have to just ask yourself, again, you don't know, nothing is absolute, but then you have to ask yourself, okay, does the color of his skin have anything to do about it? And I feel that if you're an open-minded, progressive person, I don't care what color you are, I don't care what gender you are, I don't care how old you are, but if you are open-minded, knowing the history of this country, you have to ask yourself. It is not a question that should not be asked. Or, maybe, I'm not even saying ask the question out in the open, but to sit back and say that We moved past that. Please, we thought we moved past. I myself allowed myself to think in 2008, when President Obama was elected, that we had got past that. I have never been more wrong in my life. Never been more wrong in my life. Just look at the state of the country as far as racial relations is concerned. You know? So again, I don't want to beat up on Cam too much. I hope I answered your question. It's Fernando BD46. He asked it on Twitter. So I hope that I answered your question as far as my opinion. And then, we'll move on. We'll see what it is. I'm hoping that, Cam will learn from the sort of backlash that he's gotten, from the African American media and African American community. Because again, nobody makes it alone. You follow what I'm saying? You just don't. If you are, let's just say you are a boxer from Cuba, or let's say a boxer from, or a tennis player from Puerto Rico. Before you was on a national stage, who was holding you up? Who was holding you, or we using the slang, who was holding you down? Your people. Other Puerto Ricans, other Cubans. If you was raised in Compton, people in Compton. So you then owe them the truth. Not charity. You owe them the truth. So we're going to move on from there. Sweet T17 on Twitter asked me, as an officer, what did I think about the riots in Milwaukee, and better yet, or more so, what do I think about Sheriff Clarke of Milwaukee County? Well, I'll break that down. First thing I'll say about the riots is, or the uprising, because I've been told, we need to start using different verbiage. So whether you want to say riot or uprising, it's very sad, but it's very predictable. I'm going to pull out some history. We're going to talk about, or not talk about, we're going to address history. Anytime a people, whether it be whites, black, red, brown, yellow, poor, whatever a people, a disadvantaged people, is set upon continuously, over and over through decades, generations. Most times, not all the time, but most time, there is some type of uprising. There is some type of backlash when people have gotten enough. And what I'll say is, everybody understands, everybody knows that I'm a law enforcement officer, been in law enforcement 23 years. This is bigger than the police problem. We've addressed the whole training situation, the culture, the cowards, some people who are cowards who wear badges that should not be allowed to wear badges. We've discussed all that. But so I'm not really going to attack or address that. This is higher than that. Let me tell you something. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. You have governments, state, local, federal governments, who do not do anything to uplift a community. Don't spend no money. Schools are horrible. Traffic lights don't really work. There's no businesses. There's no infrastructure. Nothing. You then funnel these people into an area where they feel that there's no way to get out. Okay? Then, to keep them all in, you spend money that you could have spent there to uplift that community on outside communities, giving tax breaks to the rich and the powerful and the multicultural conglomerates. Then, after all of that is done, after you done put that whole brew together, where the schools are failing, infrastructure is failing, there is no accountability whatsoever. There's no positive way out for the majority of them. Now that you done put that brew, and that brew is building, now you put the cops, the police force, you put them in it to oversee it. You follow what I'm saying? You have to be blind not to see that. You have to be blind, deaf, and dumb not to realize that these types of things happen. And let me tell you something. I know in the 50s and the 60s you had Watts. You know, you had a lot of other things. We had, after the acquittal from the Rodney King case, you had riots. You know, Ferguson, you had uprisings. All of this type of stuff right here. If we don't get up off our behinds and force our elected officials to do what's right, this not only going to happen again, but it's going to happen across the country. And then you're going to be in a situation where you might have to talk about martial law and stuff like that, because it's fear. People are scared. They scared of the boogeyman, but you're not realizing that. And I tell my friends, white and black, who are affluent, you know, middle class. I'm like a middle to upper middle class lifestyle, you know. So I tell them, so you have no idea the things that we take for granted. The things that we take for granted, these people never see at all. At all. At all. Case in point, I've said this about me. I like to spend money. When I decided to do this radio channel, you know, I did it for a couple of reasons. One, it looked like it was fun. B, it's therapeutic for myself, you know, going through my medical history. And the fact that I had 90% of the equipment already just sitting around collecting dust. You know, these are things that you can sit up there and be like, you know what, hey, I really don't have to go. Yeah, I'm going to, when I move into my new place and deck out my new studio, and that's when I'll do, I've got on a smaller scale, on a little tangent for a little bit. I got the request for, you know, a studio tour, you know, what I'm working with, you know, what mics I'm using, all that. I got it. I'm not going to do it for a couple of months. It's probably towards the end of the year when I move into my new place and we outfit the new studio, we have the new backdrop and all of that type of stuff. Then we'll go ahead and knock that out. So getting back to the point, I just said that, I just told you that to sort of explain the peril that these people are in. And then all you now need to that brew is a spark. And then when you have police officers who are in a us against them mindset, where my job title is I want to go home. No, your job title is protect and serve. We want to go home. I'm coming from what I know, not what I heard. Every day of the 23 years that I am a police officer, I want to go home. But I'm not going to kill somebody needlessly because I think that I might not go home. If you do what you're supposed to do, and what I mean supposed to do is use your training, use your mouth, use your head, de-escalate situations. 9.9% of the time, you don't even have to fight nobody, let alone have somebody pull a gun on you and want to kill you. But I digress on that. We're talking about the actual uprising. You had everybody should know the story. I think it was a citizen encounter. I can't tell you off the top of the head. I think it was a traffic stop, but it was a citizen encounter. And then another unarmed African American male got killed. You know, and everything just blew up. Let me say this here, because I get this question all the time. I'm talking about not only on social media, but when I go to a function and people know or learn that I'm a police officer. You know, I go to some type of other event or a speech or a lecture. The number one question is, can you tell me why all of a sudden police have just gone crazy? Some police have just gone crazy. I mean, it seems like they killing people indiscriminately. Well, what I tell them is, this didn't just start. It didn't just start this year, last year, year before last, year before last. It didn't just start. This has always been happening. The only difference is, back in the day, everybody and their mother didn't have a smartphone. That is the major difference. Is that everybody, you got people have smartphones, homeless. People who have smartphones don't own a car or living in their mama back room or basement, something like that. Everybody has some type of recording device. So now you have people who are always on the scene. I mean, I haven't been, because of my medical history, because of my medical issue, I haven't been on the road since February. But prior to that, probably after Mike Brown, I really started noticing it. Mike Brown got killed in Ferguson. And most of the time in certain neighborhoods, when the lights go off, when lights of the patrol car go on, and there's a bunch of us, there'll be a bunch of them, and everybody's recording. And see, I don't have any problem with it, as long as you don't interfere with what's going on as far as the investigation, or if the investigation comes to a point where an arrest has to be made, as long as you're not interfering. Do whatever you want to do. Record whatever you want to record. So that's what I tell them. And they look at me just in amazement when they finally realize that people need to look at the statistics. We as police officers kill far too many people. Far too many people. You know, you killing them. There was just, I think it was the other day, it came across my Twitter feed that a state trooper killed a white male on a traffic stop who was deaf. So that makes you wonder, what happened? You know? So when I used to teach, I used to tell my recruits and my class, I used to tell them, I was like, you don't know what's going on in that person's mind. You don't know if that person is deaf, blind, dumb. You don't know if that person is mentally challenged. You don't know if that person doesn't understand English. You don't know if that person has the capacity of a 2-year-old. You have no idea. You have to keep safe, maintain contact cover, and that we explained that 2 shows ago. And use your mind and use your brain, and mind and brain is the same thing. Use your mind, your brain, and your mouth to facilitate whatever you're trying to do to make sure everybody is safe. Make sure everybody leaves that encounter in the same physical condition they was in prior to it. So that's what I think about that. I think it's very sad. I think it's much bigger than the police. The police have their issues. We as cops have our issues. But the ultimate, to me, and this is just my opinion, the ultimate responsibility is on the government. Because if the government did what they were supposed to do, and I can't even say that because some people say the government's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Help the rich, F the poor, basically, you know? But if they was to do what is morally right, let's say that. If they was to do what's morally right, spend the money, upgrade the schools, upgrade the housing, promote businesses, in there, because you know how you get businesses in an area. You get businesses in the area by tax breaks, by low interest loans. Hey, look, you want to open up this business? If you open up this business in this neighborhood right here, you ain't got to pay taxes for X amount. My city did it, you know, to grow the downtown, you know, tax breaks and tax incentives and all of this types of stuff. So it can be done. It can be done. You can't, as a government, like I said, state, local, and federal, you can't, as a government, make a brew of despair, hatred, frustration, and then set an untrained, and when I mean untrained in the facts of life, on how it is to interact with people, how to treat people with respect. Because you don't learn that, or you should not learn that for the first time in the academy. You should come to the academy already knowing how to respect people's rights and try to talk to people as an adult or as a child, but not being condescending or talking down to a particular person. So that's what I think about that. My hearts and prayers are out to those people. You know, it's just despair. Sometimes I wish that I had a couple $1 billion, you know, to just do what the government won't do what big business won't do, and I tell you this here, and I know some people, I'm gonna get a little backlash about or backbite from this. I really feel that if the proper motivation is there and the money to upgrade, like I said, the school systems, the infrastructure, tax breaks and stuff like that for better home ownership and businesses, I truly believe that the less of thee, the worst of thee, I'm talking about the neighborhoods, would be 1,000% better within a short period of time. But you have people that we vote in that don't care about the poor, don't care about the disenfranchised, don't care about the needy, the desperate. And they put that brew together, and then, like I said, try to have the cops hold the cover on this brew and deal with anybody who thinks about trying to get out. Now, let's get to Sheriff Clarke. I'm going to be careful here because I really don't like talking about fellow brother and sister officers. So I'm just going to basically say this. That is a shallow, hateful, lying, deceitful man who hates his own skin. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Now you might say, well, why can you say that? Remember we had that show, I don't know if it was maybe our 4th or 5th show. This is 21st show now, 21st. It was 4th, 1st show. 4th or 5th show. And it was Words Matter. When he gets up and calls other black people who look like him thugs, what did he say? Something about a jungle culture or some stupidness like that. You know, when you sit back and think and then put forth, there is no police brutality, you know, racism is dead and all this type of stuff, it makes you wonder, what the heck you smoking? It really makes you wonder, is it just you just don't like the skin that you in? Are there creeps, pimps, killers, rapists, muggers, just people who just, excuse my French, just ain't shit in the African American community? Yes, but there are far more who are out here scraping for me to then categorize or generalize the entire community to say that they're thugs. I tell you who I think is a thug. To me, a thug is somebody who preys on somebody else, physically or emotionally. That's a thug to me. Somebody who's robbing and stealing, that type of stuff. If you are tired of being set upon, and the only way, because God help you if you try to get revenge on a police force that you may or may not think did you and your family wrong. So the only way you can let it out is to be destructive. I can't call you a thug. I'll say that's unfortunate. I say don't do it. You know, the same people who are losing their businesses because you burned it down, they in the same spot you in now. You know, they could have spent their last dimes, their last bit, you know, a fortune to do that cleaners or that drugstore or that delicatessen or whatever. So you wind up hurting them also. So I definitely discourage that type of behavior. But I'm not going to sit up there and call you a thug. Now, the people who out there trying to get TVs and stuff like that, when the riots or the uprisings are going, I still don't call them thugs, them straight thieves. And they need to be caught and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Sorry. Now, if you stealing food because you ain't got no food, that's wrong. It's wrong as hell. But I have compassion. I have to understand that. But if you trying to get a TV set, you know, like, forget it, never mind. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. But I just think that that's a hateful man. I really do. I think that, you know, that's an angry man. I think that that's an alone man. Because let me tell you something. This is what I will tell you. I've never felt this, and I hope that I'll never feel this, but it must be so horrible for you not to really fit in with people who don't look like you. But on top of that, the people who do look like you can't stand you. That is a lonely existence, because I don't care what you say. I don't care. Excuse me. I don't care who you are. Everybody wants to be loved by somebody, and it's usually not one person. Everybody wants to be appreciated for what they do and what they add to life, or what they add to their country, or their church, or their synagogue, or their mosque, or whatever it might be. Everybody wants to be appreciated and loved. So two names come, or really three names come to mind: Sheriff Clarke, Stacey Dash, and Clarence Thomas. They have to live long, and you think about it, this is what I said. Just take a step back and look at their interviews. Watch their interviews. Do you see any of them? I think I saw Clarence Thomas smile maybe once or twice. I think that was a Julian Bond interview when Julian Bond, God rest his soul, was still mentoring at the University of Virginia, and he was doing his own show, his own podcast there. And he had interviewed Clarence Thomas, and Clarence Thomas had smiled a couple of times during that interview. But other than that, I've never seen him smile. Sheriff Clarke, Stacey Dash, same thing. When you are in an existence where, again, you don't necessarily fit in completely, like that Lego, you know, you don't fit 100% snug in to a community who don't look like you, and then the people who do look like you hate you, can't stand you. That has to be a very lonely existence. So that's why I say that. And you know, what else what else can you say? You know, what else can you say? I think that I'll leave it at that, because my mama said, God rest her soul, if you can't say something nice about somebody, don't say nothing at all. And that is exactly where I'm going to leave that. I don't know what else to say as far as that concerned. So I hope that answered your question. I know I sort of dodged the question a little bit, to get in detail, but I gotta do what I gotta do. So that's pretty much it. I know I had one other thing I can't find. I'm looking at my notes and I cannot find it. What I was going to talk about. It was a third question that was a subject that was given to me, and I can't remember it. I'm sorry. I have to. And as soon as I sign off, I'm going to remember exactly what I was going to say. But before I go further, like and share this, please, if you can. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this radio show on your YouTube and Twitter feeds. That's what we're going to do. We're going to, do cooperative economics. We're going to crowd fund together. You follow what I'm saying? So you share mine, I share yours. We get the word out. We get more viewers and stuff like that. And we can expand this channel, to new heights. I mean, I'm in it to win it. I'm in it to win it like LOTTO. That's Lotto. So I appreciate everything that people do for me, and I'm waiting. I don't really want to say anything now, but I guess I'll give you a little bit of hint. But when I return, there will not be a video show Saturday. I'll be out of town. I'm going to see how the Wi-Fi is. If everything works and I have time, then I'll do the show video like this, like we've become accustomed to. If not, it'll be the prior format of just the radio, just my voice and stuff like that. But next Wednesday show, if everything comes in, see, I'm going out of town, so I was waiting on I'm waiting on a new mixing board so I can expand the platform, waiting on it's iRig. It is a apparatus that will allow us to use. Not gonna do Skype, not yet. I'm gonna wait till I get to my new place to start doing Skype calls. But we'll be taking in-show calls. We'll go sort of live, and if everything goes according to plan and the platforms work out the way they is and the hardware comes in where I'm gone, we're gonna launch our Periscope. We're gonna do live on Periscope, and we're going to be live. We might be live on Facebook. I'm not too sure, but I know that if everything goes according to plan, we will be next week. We will be live on Periscope, and we will be taking calls. We'll be taking live callers. So I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping I don't screw it up too tough. My boys is gonna come in and help me out, so we start screening these calls and make sure ain't no stalkers call and be on the air and acting a fool and stuff like that. But if we could do that, we're going to do, at least I'm going to try to do 2 interviews. Actually, the 2 interviews that I was going to do like 2 weeks ago, we're going to try to do those. We're going to try to do a in-studio guest if we can work out the schedules. But if not, then it'll be 2 phone interviews of very professional and astute brothers that will sort of join the conversation, and so you got to hear my dry opinions all the time. So I appreciate everything that you do for us, for this channel. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment at the bottom of this video if you have a question about anything. Our email address is bigrichlivonthemic@gmail.com. I will give you the Twitter again. It's capital B, capital R, live on the mic. Instagram is Big Rich Live on the Mic _ between every word. Facebook is facebook.com/Big Rich Live on the Mic. So on that note, be blessed, be safe, be informed. We out.